What's going to Team Gradelock here? I'm your host, Enrico, and like I say to all my wonderful, beautiful faces in the world, just miss you, love you, love you. Now for today's video, I'm doing a deck profile of Zodiac Time Beast. This is the deck that I've been playing for about two months, 2.5 months. I took this deck to Toronto Team League Canada, did really well. I've been playing this at locals, at consistently topping, and also I took this to ARG States at Paipay Games. I believe it was on April 1st. I won the whole thing. Surprisingly, I didn't think I was, but I did. It was 5 rounds of Swiss at that ARG. I won 3 games. I had 1 draw and 1 loss. And then top 8, of course, I won the whole thing. So yeah, I'm a 3-time ARG state champion. Pretty happy about it. I'm gonna do a quick deck profile, show what I played, why I played it. I'm not going to explain what it does, but I'm going to leave a link in the description box down below, which will lead you to Chrono Dave's deck profile, which explains what every card does, because our decks are pretty much the same. So yeah. Starter, Chrono Gen Z. I don't understand why this card isn't a rare. Basically, this card is a searcher, well, top 5 card searcher. It searches out for my grade 1s, grade 3s, pretty good. I mainly use it just to deck in my deck to get the grade 3, the main grade 3, which is a Chrono Jet Z, or I switch for any grade 1 that I can use to rush my opponent, especially the Stride Father. The Stride Father is also another engine of the deck. Stride Father deck thins as much as possible, increase the chances of making triggers. Of course, we're playing 8 crits. Not much to say about that. Some people are playing 12. Right now at the moment I'm playing 8. I think that's perfectly fine the way it is right now. Next, we got 4 stand triggers. A lot of people are debating not playing the stand trigger at all. I think the stand trigger is great. The stand trigger is basically kind of like the finishing card against my opponents. I mean, yeah, at times, like, I'm just like, ah, crap, I drew into the stand trigger. But then again, next turn, I'm like, okay, I could use the stand trigger to reset a rear guard for a final turn push. I mean, yeah, of course, I'm not too much of a fan of stand triggers, but this stand trigger actually does something great. This stand trigger restands a rear guard, potentially restanding either my Cruising Dragon or Pegasus, and potentially restand a rear guard that has a crit on it, so it definitely has multiple purposes for a final turn push. Also for the fact that it kind of gives me soul by soul charging itself and then putting another card to the bottom of the deck. Next, we got the 4 heal triggers, pretty standard. Not much to say about it, but besides that, in this deck you do counterblast a lot, so these heal triggers are definitely mandatory. We have 4 of the most expensive PGs in the current game. This PG is basically an infinite wall, turn after turn after turn. Also, it helps me with my bind zone, helps me put cards in my bind zone, which will help out my G guard consistently activate whenever I need to. But yeah, no, honestly, if you're playing Zodiac Time Beast, this card is the main card to have. A lot of people don't have this PG in Zodiac Time Beast, and that's kind of their main flaw. So if you're playing Zodiacs, highly recommend to get 4 Arcas, even if they're that expensive. We're playing 4 Transit. A lot of people don't like this. A lot of people say you should only play 3. I play 4 just for the fact that it goes into my soul and I get a +1. I use it to rush. I use it to overextend on my first turn stride when I can just get back a rear guard easily. And it goes to my soul and I get a free +1. Mainly for the fact that I use it for the soul charge. The soul charging is actually really good because in this deck I soul blast a lot. And also for the fact, again, I use this like turn grade 1 rush, grade 2 rush, whatever. I just rush down my opponent before they can stride as much as possible. We got 3 Stride Father. This card helps me deck in my deck as much as possible, helps me search out for the right grade 3. Also, I rush turn 1 with this card easily every single time. I think the best matchup I had with this card is against Noshi Algiz. He went first, I went second. I rushed him, I rode my grade 1 Transit. I played 2 of these, I decked them in my deck of 3 grade 3s, and I just kept rushing him because the damage triggers wouldn't go off. Even though he would hit a draw trigger, he just doesn't get the +5. So I just kept rushing him. He attacked my rear guards, of course, but again, like I said, in this build, it's all about rush. I don't care about second stride or third stride. I want to kill you by the first stride, or kill you by turn 3. This one helps out so much just for the fact that at times I forget he's a grade 3 in the deck. So every single time whenever I stride into a Zodiac Time Beast, Chrono Jet Z, I keep forgetting that I do have a grade 3 in the deck that's not actually a grade 3. So whenever I spin back my opponent's grade 2, I'm just like, damn it, I don't want to bring out a grade 3. But then I realize, I'm like, oh, this card is actually a grade 3 in the deck. So at times I kind of have a, a third moment, but this card helps out early game, mid game, late game. Just the fact that early game, I rush with it. I do not care if my opponent attacks it early game. I want this card in the grave. I really don't want this card in my hand or on the field. I mean, of course you want it in the field to rush, but again, I usually play this card. I bait my opponent out all the time. I'm like, okay, attack this, so I can go to the grave, so I can strike for free. And then the one of, this one basically just puts cards back in my deck. Also, it counter charges. The counter charge is kind of important, but then again, a lot of people want to play 2 of this. I'm going to play 1. I just simply don't have the space. If I could, I would play 2. We have 4 Party Metal Dragon. This card is the #1 grade 2 you always want to ride, just for the fact that it's a 10k and it's a Zodiac Time Beast. And also for the fact that late game this card makes a brand new column, and that brand new column could be beefy as hell. I'll play 3 Unicorn. Not too much of a fan of it. Basically, he's only there for Gear Next. Gear Next requires to send back 3 cards. I usually combo this card off of Gear Next, or I combo the stand trigger off of him as much as possible. But he's pretty good just for the fact that, again, he's an 11k by himself, and he can call units for free after the field, just for a counter blast. Cruising, of course, another MVP grade 2. It's 11k by itself. Counter blast 1 when it attacks, search top 3 cards. Usually, top 3 cards you search off for a heal trigger or a PG. At one point, I had kind of a conundrum. I had a PG and a heal trigger. So at that point, I was like, you know what? Let me just get the PG and send back the heal trigger to the bottom of the deck. That was the biggest misplay of my life. I should have got the heal trigger because G guards are 10 times better than PGs now apparently. But usually the main card you search for is the PGs, the heal triggers. But always, whenever you get a heal trigger off Cruising's effect, definitely always get the heal trigger. G guards are just too good. The one of grade 2 plays Tiger. It's great early game, okay mid game, and it's terrible late game. Early game I think is great because it's kind of +1. It's a free +1. It's a 10k when it attacks. But unfortunately, late game doesn't really do anything because late game I'd rather have a field with 11k attackers in the front, or at least 10k attackers by himself. Because late game you're not gonna have too many counter blasts, and his effect requires a counter blast. So he's like, he's decent, okay. The main grade 3, of course, Chronojet Dragon Z. This card is a free stride. This card gets me free units from the deck. And this card is basically the only card you actually want to keep in your hand. So for this build, in my build, personally, I rush. I play my whole hand by turn 1 or turn 2. I kind of overextend by turn 1 or turn 2. And if they attack my rear guards, it's fine. I can get them back easily. All I need is a counter blast. Or with him, I just need a soul blast. Of course, any deck can overextend early game. They could play the whole hand turn 1, turn 2, or they could just rush their opponent. But not every deck can regain back a field or regain back a hand like Zodiac Time Beast. The Zodiac Time Beast, all they need is a counter blast or a soul blast. But mainly for the fact we need Zodiac Time Beast, they need to have a grade 3 Chronojet Dragon Z. If I don't have this as my grade 3, I pretty much lose the game. And then we play one of each Zodiac Time Beast. This one puts in work for the counter charge, pretty decent. This one always puts in work. This card is just, makes beefy columns, especially when I have a Party Metal Dragon with the grade 1 Agumon, which is a beefy column, then bind the grade 1, put in the bind zone, counter blast for the Party Metal Dragon, and then Superior Call this to the field with the grade 1 behind it again. So it's another beefy column attacking my opponent. Usually, again, I usually decked in him first. I always put in the grave first to make sure I have that combo, and it works out pretty well. Now for the sheep, he's okay early game. I like him early game just the fact that I can just counter blast for him to draw into a card. Kind of like reshuffles my hand, like I exchange a grade 3 for another card. And also for the fact he puts 2 cards in the bind zone, which helps out my G guards consistently work. Now the G guards that I've been talking about is the broken Zodiac Time Beast one. I don't know why Zodiac's got a G guard, but they did anyways. This G guard is one of the best G guards I've ever seen. It's basically a 46k guard with just a Soul Blast. This card doesn't require a Counter Blast, it just requires a Soul Blast, and you need to have at least 1 or 2 cards in the bind zone to get a +5, and then if you have 5 or more Zodiac Time Beast in the bind zone, it gets +15. Broken. We play Heterohound. Heterohound is basically the double-edged sword of the deck. I'm not too much of a fan of it at times. Sometimes I actually misplay with it, but I still keep one in just in case, because it does put in work, especially against my opponent's rear guards. It's like Nubatama. Some Nubatama decks play the grade 1 and grade 2 that gain power whenever they dominate units. So the Heterohound actually comes in super clutch. And then my one tech is Rafana. This card is just, this card kills Nubatama. A lot of people don't understand this, but whenever I do Renee, let's say for example, this is my field. I have that, and I have that. Let's say they dominate me, they're making me call 2 units, so they're gonna make me call these 2. So these 2 are currently dominated. I'm going to G-Guard with Rafana. Rafana's skill, I send back a grade 1 or higher back to the deck. I send this back. Then I can superior call a grade 0 from the deck onto the field. So when they attack, let's say they're attacking with this first, and then they're gonna attack with this second. I'm gonna G-Guard against this one, activate Rafana's skill, send back that grade 1. I can call a grade 0. I can call the grade 0 on top of the other dominated unit, and this gets +10 for that attack. So let's say this is attacking for 26. I G-Guard. The G-Guard goes off successfully. The G-Guard is now a 36k guard, so it guards against this. But also it helped me call a unit out to the field, calling it on top of the other dominated unit. Now a lot of people think that doesn't work, especially in Toronto. In Toronto, the head judge ruled that Rafana cannot go against dominated units because apparently it misses timing. But if you read in the comprehension rule books, with the whole domination thing, even though you have a dominated unit on your field, on your rearguard circle, regardless, no matter what happens, you are the master of that rearguard circle. It's in the comprehension rule books. It's pretty blatantly simple, so that head judge was terribly wrong. And also for the fact that me and my friends, we actually emailed Bushiroad about that, and Rafana does go off. Rafana does not miss timing at all. So Rafana is basically the one kill G-Guard against Renee, against Nubatama. Helped me out in so many matches, and it kind of basically saved my life in so many games. Next we got the 4 of Gear Next. Gear Next is basically the recent Vanguard that gets a +10, and it's a twin drive afterwards, so it's pretty good. But its cost is kind of heavy because you have to Soul Blast. Again, if you guys don't know, in this deck we do Soul Blast a lot, so the cost for it's kind of heavy. Sending back 3 units from the hand or field, it isn't really that hard. Like I said, the main thing you want to focus on is actually having the soul for him. Sometimes I kind of forget, and I'm just like, damn it, I forgot the Soul Blast. But he's pretty much there against the Link Joker matchup. The Link Joker matchup, he's just amazing. Even though Messiahs lock my board, they can't really stop 2 continuous big attacks. They just lose to recent Vanguards in general. Next we got 2 Phoenix. Phoenix is another MVP stride of the deck. I usually kill my opponent on the first turn stride. Again, like I said, I rush my opponent. I try to push them at 4 or 5 damage by turn 3. And if I'm striding first, I go into Phoenix. I attack with Vanguard. Then activate his skill to recall a new column. So usually I would have like 4 or 5 attacks during my first turn stride, depending how many counter blasts I have. But again, like I said, I do rush with this deck. By turn 1, turn 2, I'll play all my grade 1s, all my grade 2s, don't care. And by turn 3, I can gain back a field easily with just Chronojet Dragon Z. It's a free +1, free plus call out a rear guard. And then this card just calls out a brand new column. So again, MVP stride of the deck. Pegasus, I rarely stride into. It's basically a power play. It's not really a final turn play. But again, he's still a great card. I just don't really stride into him that much depending on how good my hand is. Now I'll play this bad card. You guys don't have to play it. I'm actually going to take it out indefinitely. This card, I mainly played it for just Narukami because I'm terrible at going against Narukami. They always bind everything. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just play Demiurge and see how it works. I actually played against only like 2 Demiurges this whole time. I mean, sorry. I only played Demiurge twice throughout this whole time. Once against Murakami, and once against Messiahs when I was about to deck out. So Demi-Urge did save me there, but then again, you don't. I recommend not putting Demi-Urge in your deck. I'm actually gonna take this out as soon as possible. Next we have Dust. Dust is pretty much the big red button you want to push if you're about to lose or if you want to beat your opponent right there. Dust, he's a great card, don't get me wrong, but I think Heritage puts in more work than him. Even though Heritage is a GR and it's like $3 or $4. So if you don't have the money to actually buy a Dust, I highly recommend don't waste your time. You don't really need a Dust. All you need is like one Heritage and you're fine. And of course we got Heritage, the extra turn GR. This card is like $3 or $4. I don't know why it's cheap. I usually stride into this more than going to Dust. I think Heritage is just an unfair card. One thing I want to ask you guys, if you guys know, please comment down below. It says skip the ride phase and all that stuff, but it doesn't say about skipping the draw phase. So this whole time, whenever I go into Heritage, I do keep drawing. Well, when I go back into Heritage, I draw for the turn, even though it says skip the ride phase. So if you guys know anything about that, please comment down below. Let me know if I'm wrong or not. I'm pretty sure I can draw, because it doesn't say skip your draw phase 2. It just says skip your ride phase. So comment down below and let me know. Last we have Seabreeze. Seabreeze again is one of the best strides in the current format. It helps you out, get your GB effects off, and it basically pushes in your opponent when they're at 3 or 4 damage. Again guys, that's my deck profile. I'm sorry I didn't really explain what each card does. Again, I'm going to leave a link to Chrono Dave's original deck profile for Zodiac Time Beast, and in his deck profile he'll explain what each card does. Again, I'm pretty happy with this build. Like I said, I just rush my opponent. I do not care. I don't care if I lose my hand or not. I don't care if they attack my rear guards. As long as I have a counterblast and as long as I have this grade 3 in my hand, I should be winning that game. Because again, early game, I do not care what cards are in my hand. I don't care about saving cards for later. I don't care if I overextend early game. This deck can come back so easily from any hand. Like this deck can come back from overextending. It's just Zodiac Time Beasts are just dumb. I honestly think they're one of the. I think this is like the best deck in the meta right now, besides Bermuda Triangle. Recently, if you guys don't know, Zodiac Time Beasts is now going to compete with Time Leap, because now Bushiroad just said, "Oh, TikTok, you can now use the starter." So some people are debating on going back to just Time Leap Gear Chronicle. I think Zodiacs are still going to be better. But if you guys think Time Leap Gear Chronicle is going to be better than Zodiacs, then please comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Is it going to be Zodiac Time Beasts or is it going to be Time Leap Gear Chronicle? What's going to be better? Comment down below. Let me know. And as always, guys, we're going to have more deck profiles for later. We're going to have more videos for later. I've just been really busy. It's been a bad week for me. But I promise you'll do more videos for you guys. And again, deuces.